morning, students. Today's topic we are going to learn something about summarizing skills and note making skills. Let's talk about summarizing skills. Why do we summarize? We summarize in order to remember whatever we have read and to prepare for our examinations. And not only that, summarizing skills helps us in future also in any profession that we take up. Let's look at how we summarize.
Good morning, students. I am Dr. Anshu Surve from MS University of Baroda. As Bhati ma'am has talked to you today, we are going to talk about summarizing skills. When we make summary, these are some of the steps that we keep in mind while summarizing. That is how to write the summary. You read the material that is given to you in the form of an article or a book. Try and identify the main ideas for details. Write the ideas in the main form. While you are reading, try and underline the main phrases, the keywords, and then group them into a logical and coherent piece so that you can read the main ideas in proper order.
Yes, and this can be done either by having a pencil in your hand ready when you're reading the material, or you can have a separate piece of paper on which you can jot down all the words, phrases, or important keywords, which later on you can change with the help of all these words. You can form proper sentences and change it into a paragraph in your own words. Now, the first sentence that you write in a summary should be a topic sentence. That is, it should introduce you. It should introduce the central idea of the whole passage that you have read. And once you are ready with all the words or the key ideas that you have listed and you have formed the summary passage, what you should do is next you should be going through the summary that you have made, so that if there are any punctuation mistakes, grammatical mistakes, or there are any inclusions or subtraction that you want to do, you should be in a position to do that. Once this proofreading and editing is done, you are ready with the final copy of your summarized passage, which should be made in a very neat and clean handwriting.
The students also should keep in mind that the ideas that they have jotted down, they should evolve. There should be some connect in those ideas so that the summary is an evolved summary.
Yeah. Then only we can say that the paragraph has cohesion and it is coherent.
Yeah, it has unity.
Now let's see how to start with summarizing. How do we start summarizing? First, we start looking for the main ideas. And how do you look for those main ideas, madam?
We keep a pencil in our hand and we underline the keywords and the key phrases. Also, what we can do is write the meanings of those keywords and key sentences, so that when we are finally making our notes, we write the notes in our own words. Then we read it again and list all the points. The listing can be done either on a rough paper or on the margins of the same books that the students are using.
Yes.
Another thing that the students should keep in mind is they should read the list over and again, so that the general purpose of writing the notes is served.
Yes. Further, what you should be doing is you should first form a topic sentence after going through all the ideas that you have jotted down, the words that you have jotted down. You should be in a position to form a topic sentence that introduces the central theme of the passage that you have read. Now, a way of doing this is asking why the author has written a passage like that, so that the answer to which should be the central theme of or the central idea of the whole passage that you have read. Then you should again go through the whole passage as well as the words or the keywords and the notes that you have made in order to check the accuracy, whether you have not missed out a few important words here and there. And then you have to revise the summary so that you cross-check it that you have got the central idea exactly as the author would like to present it.
while reading the first few sentences, the student get an idea of the central theme. So the central theme should be jotted down and it should be evolved while writing the summary.
Yes.
Now we move on to our next slide. That is the support system for the support when we write the summary.
Yeah.
First support that we need to do is read the article again, list every probable example. For instance, if the writer has used some stories, some examples, illustrations to generate an argument, and that helps us understanding the argument. Make a list of the stories and the illustrations that have been used by the author, and while summarizing you can use them, prioritizing them accordingly.
Yeah. Apart from this, when we are looking at the when we are rereading the article, going through the whole thing again also helps you to see to it that you're not repeating some of the examples, you're not repeating some of the details.
And also you don't miss out some of the details.
Yes.
When we write the summary sentence, we introduce different categories of proof. Madam, could you please elaborate on the word proof?
Yeah, it could be kind of examples, it could be some kind of explicit information that the author would like to give, or it could be some more in detail explanation of some particular topic that the author is making. And it could be representative examples.
Yeah.
And these are usually, we have to look for those kind of things which are very persuasive as well as which are common, so that it helps in making a connection to the topic sentence that we have already made.
And also the central argument of the paragraph.
Yes.
Now here we have the text for the summarizing. This is a text in which the writer has given a comparative account of his experience of how women were treated both in the Canadian society as well as Taiwanese society. This is a kind of a diary note and a diary writing, wherein he has placed his own personal experiences of his female friends in Canada, and how were they treated earlier, and how the gender bias has been avoided and women are treated equally with men.
In the present day Canadian society.
Yeah. Again, this is a continuation of the paragraph wherein the gentleman has talked about certain gestures to show courtesy and respect towards women that were prevalent earlier. Like pulling out the chairs for lady, standing up when the lady is leaving the table, offered to pay the bills. But as time moved on, there has been a change in the attitude, and as there is no gender bias, there is gender equality. Now the women are treated at par and they also pay the bills. For their own meals.
Yes. And this is the summary that has been done for the earlier passage that you have seen. If you look at the first sentence, it introduces you to the central theme. As madam said, it's a diary entry. So it tells you, the topic sentence tells you that it's a Taiwanese man who has lived in Canada, and it is his experience of what he has seen in the Canadian society over several years that he has spent in Canada. And as you move ahead, if you read the second sentence, it talks about the comparison that he is making, why he feels that the Canadian society, the women in the Canadian society are treated better than the Taiwanese women. And he also refers to some of the examples. There are many examples that the author has quoted in the original passage. I have taken up a few key ones, like pulling out the chair for the lady and paying the restaurant bills for the ladies. But as time passed, if you move on to the next slide, after the examples, the conclusion of there is a mention that now the Canadian society, the attitude has changed. Now the Canadian society sees both the genders as equal, and one of the key factors or one of the pointers to it is the example that he mentions towards the conclusion, which is a very apt conclusion for the summary also that we have done here, that now the women, because they are treated equal, they pay for their own meals.
I want the students also to note the number of words. and understand that summarizing is different from précis writing. The
Yes.
students, while summarizing, should not just pick and choose some sentences. Generally, our students, when they are unable to understand the paragraph, they pick the first or the second sentence, then they pick some phrases and words from the middle of the paragraph, and then they pick certain sentences and phrases from the end. So students should avoid picking and choosing such kind of sentences and write summary in their own words and stick to the word limit that they have been offered to.
Yeah, in a way, if the students are able to write the summary in their own words, it's an indication that you understood whatever you read.
Yeah, and you are not copying and pasting things.
Which is equivalent to plagiarism.
Yeah.
The next skills that we begin with is note making. Why note making, ma'am?
Note making is an important study skill, and this skill helps student consolidating the ideas that they have grasped while note taking. And I want my students to remember that note making is different from summarizing as well as note taking. Note taking is associated with listening skills, and note making is associated with reading skills.
And not only that, summarizing is a more formal kind of study skill, and whereas note making is something that you do when you're listening to a lecture or you're reading something for extra information. So basically what you're doing in note making is you're taking down your own notes. In a way, we can say that it is because it is more casual, it is some kind of rough notes that you're taking down for your future reference. Now let's see how it is done.
Yeah. These are some of the note making tips. The students should keep in mind that, as we have just said earlier, they should avoid jotting down words from the books or the articles that they have read. So they should prefer writing notes in their own words. And writing in your own words, don't you think, man, it helps in understanding and it clarifies your concepts better.
Also. Yes.
Second thing that you should remember is that you should write in such a handwriting and in such a manner that you can when you refer back to those notes, you are able to read them and recognize them.
Yeah, and not only that, you are in a position to follow the logical pattern in which you have arranged the information. You should not confuse between which major point comes first and what are its subpoints, which major point comes next and what are its subpoints. Many a times we make our notes in such a clumsy pattern that we confuse between the major points and the minor points connected to each of them. So it's very important, as madam said, that it should be not only in a very good handwriting but also it should be in a logical pattern. Right?
Another thing that our students should know is that they should not write their notes in a clumsy manner. They should not cram and compress everything on one page. It should be well organized, it should be systematic, and they are able to refer back to the same notes and recognize their own handwriting. कहीं ऐसा ना हो कि आप लिखें और खुदा बाचे.
Yeah.
Now we should avoid such kind of things. Now, can you talk about the different styles of note making?
Yeah, there are many styles of note making, actually as many as you can innovate, but what we are looking at today here is some 4 styles of note making, the common patterns of note making. So let's see how that can be done. The first one is the linear pattern of note making. This is the most common one. What you do is that you find out the major points. Either you highlight the major points by writing in capital letters or you underline it, and you mention the subpoints below it. This is called a linear style of arranging the notes, as you can see the example on the screen. And this can be done with the help of numbering, or you can use the alphabet, or you can use some kind of bullets which is easily available on you have some idea about what are bullets and numbering as we use in computers. So something similar, you can put some kind of design to indicate what is a major point, which one is a minor point, as we have done here in the example that you see on the screen. The next one is, Madam, would you like to talk about
Yeah.
it?
The next slide is about another style of making notes, that is the mind map notes. And this style of making notes is generally for those students who are more creative and innovative in making their own notes. And this is a kind of a chain system that the students, a sequential system that the students may use, and one point leads to the other, as it is very clearly obvious on the screen that the students may divide the central theme into various sub themes, that is related theme 1, related theme 2, and related theme 3. Now again, if there are certain sub themes or the subtopics that the students have, they can again make a sequence and write the sub themes or the subtopics, so that it helps them understand the entire paragraph and also the evolution of the ideas in a much better manner. So mind maps are important while making notes, but again the student should keep in mind that they are not again copying the matter, they are writing the ideas in their own words.
And especially because it is a diagrammatic representation, as far as possible, try to keep it as short as just using words, the main words or maybe the main phrases to connect with each other. And if you have a look at the diagram again, it looks more or less like a spider web also, and that's also the reason why mind maps are also called spidergrams.
Grams. And it creates more visual impact, so it helps the students to remember more easily because of the visual impact created on them.
Yeah.
Now shall we move on to our next
Yeah.
style, that is making